Should I turn up? Hi.
No, you're good. You're good. All right, here we are at home with Mark, episode 5. I'm super pumped to have Vanessa Wheeler here, aka VAVA. I'm a big fan. I heard about you probably through Instagram, through other friends, and just there's one video of yours, and we can get into this later. But like, I was like, what is she doing? I don't understand what's going on. And you were singing at the same time, and I was like, I gotta figure out more about this person. So I like went down that rabbit hole and watched your videos and super impressed. But I am very, very happy.
Thanks for doing that, Mark.
Welcome. Yeah, very happy to welcome Vava to the show, everybody. So I wanted to quickly off the top. You went to Berkeley, right?
Yes, several years ago I did. Yeah.
I think we were there at the same time.
Shut up. Really? Do you remember me? Do you
well,
remember called Pretty the Boat?
I don't, but see, that's the thing is the school's big enough that you can kind of like not run into people.
Yeah.
But when were you there? Because I was there 2008 through 2010.
I think it was much earlier than that. It's gonna age me, so you got.
That was my second degree, so I'm 41. So like, you can age yourself all you want.
So I was there when Andy Clark was there of St. Vincent. We were roommates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Right on. What program were you in? Were you in songwriting or were you guitar performance? Or?
I started in, I don't know if they have this major anymore. It was contemporary writing and production.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And then honestly, I think I basically fucked off for so long. I went to like a very academic high school. So I tried to be very diligent in that. And then I got to Berkeley and I lost my mind. I had no structure.
Yeah.
So I started in contemporary writing and production, and I don't really know what happened after that. I just ended up playing. My main focus was to be in a band and write songs and make that happen. And school was this other thing that I had to finish. So, which I didn't until years later. So
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's a thing. I work for them now. Just like my day gig. Yeah, I work for the online school, for the online degree program.
Sick. So, do you mind me asking what you do?
Just in the higher ed department. It's mostly sales. It's kind of like it's helping people pick their programs. Like I work for the undergraduate and graduate program. That's like my day gig.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know Rich Penna?
No.
No. Okay. He was in one of same era.
Oh, okay. Right on. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because a couple months ago, like Charlie Hunter, he does like a podcast, and they were talking as him and Adam Dorn, and they were talking about Berkeley and talking about Juilliard and all the music schools and like, should you go, should you not? And there's this stigma around it, and they were kind of bashing it a little bit. Not really, but like, just like, well, do you really need it? And I was like, it did a lot for me in terms of coming from a small town and knowing what my opportunities were as a musician.
Yeah.
So like, did you find that too? Like, as far as your experience?
To a degree, it was a lot of hearsay. I hung out with people who, I didn't take any business classes, which I probably should have, but, or it was probably my curriculum, but like I said, I was on another planet, just psyched to like write weird songs. But yeah, for sure, it did open up like the world of opportunities, but I also grew up primarily in Los Angeles. So I wasn't completely unaware as to like the idea of like sync licensing and all of that. Although it's still a mystery now, but at least I knew about it.
Right, exactly. And that's half the battle is like understanding that in publishing. And then if you can get just a little dangerous with it, then you're kind of in a good spot. You know what I mean? Well, so this I always start these off with this same question because I'm so curious about this for people who are musicians. So for me, there was a specific moment in my life when I heard some music and I was like, I want to play guitar. Like, I want to do that. What's happening through that stereo, I want to do. Is there anything like that in your life where you were like, the switch was flipped on and you were like, man, this is cool. I think I want to do that.
Well, I grew up with my mom playing piano and guitar. She's she plays by ear. And so I think it was a natural progression where I just picked up her classical guitar and started to try to make sounds out of it. And I was horrible. I had no idea what I was doing. Um, but after taking piano lessons for a while, the piano is a loud instrument, right? And everybody in the house can hear you. So I knew that I wanted to make music from a very extremely young age. Like it was not a question that this was a thing I was going to do. Like 5, I don't know.
Wow.
But when it came to the guitar, I think it had a lot more to do with how quiet it was. So when you're playing a classical instrument, you can take it anywhere, kind of, like Hector Villa-Lobos, this classical guitar player and Brazilian composer, but he taught himself how to play in the closet because his parents weren't about it. And so it kind of the same thing for me. It was like I didn't have anybody commenting on what I was doing. It was like something very intimate. So it had a lot less to do with someone's playing style. I think it probably could have been any instrument. Like at some point I wanted to play saxophone. So,
Nice.
but it was just about the intimate nature, and it allowed me to be in my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you do a lot of piano to start with though? Was that like something that you could like physically just get your hands on and start making music? Is that kind of how it started?
Yeah, so my dad bought my mom this tiny little not tiny but 61 key Yamaha keyboard, synth thing. And I started plunking around on that, and my mom would play songs and I would sing to them as a kid. And then I started taking piano lessons because I told my mom I wanted to be a conductor. And so, and she was like, okay, well, let's give you piano lessons first. And I decided, I generally don't learn super well. I have to go do the thing and then go ask questions. So I just started writing on the piano. I can read on the piano, and eventually I learned how to play some Bach and all of that. But the first thing I always do is try to make a song.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the best way to learn. I mean, especially with understanding harmony, because that's the thing I really like about what you do is your harmonic expression to me almost feels, and maybe this is calculated, maybe you work hard on it, I don't know, it feels very natural and fearless the way that you play, and the way that I like the way that Wayne Krantz plays, or the way that I don't know who else would be someone that's the top of my list. Just any guitar player who just plays fearlessly, and right hand and left hand are just in sync together. That's something that I find interesting about what you do, and then to sing over top of what you're doing, because it's kind of got a piano nature to how I feel to how you write. So can you talk about that a little bit, how that was developed?
Yeah, so around high school, thank you, by the way, that's nice to hear. I don't think too much about it. I kind of, sometimes I just creep around and say what am I looking for? Do I need to feel surprised? Do I need to feel like something expected is happening? What is the thing that's coming next after a certain phrase? And that's changed throughout my writing history. But after studying music more intently, I started to just focus on voice leading. And I think now that's primarily where I'm what do I want to hear? These notes, I hear a specific note, it needs to go here. So let's see what happens. I think generally I'm always looking for the unexpected. But my playing style kind of started when I was in high school, because I went to an academic high school. I didn't really have anybody to play with. I didn't know that much about music, but I knew that I wanted to write. So I tried to accompany myself, tried to create percussion, hear the bass, hear harmonies. So, and that it just kind of evolved from there. I got as a kid, you get compared a lot to any female guitar player gets compared to any girl who plays and sings at the same time.
Right.
And I was playing, and it was very annoying. It's I don't sound like Jewel, as great as she is. It's not my thing. I mean, maybe I do now. I don't know, but
No.
but then the like percussive thing, I got compared to Ani DeFranco, and like I didn't even know who she was. So there, it was a circumvented, strange realization of like who I was. I wasn't trying to copy anyone. I was just trying to make it more full, you know.
Mm-hmm. That bothers me so much as a father of a 9-year-old daughter. Because she sings, she loves to sing, and you know, I'm not pushing anything on her. We have an upright in the house. She's got a drum set and guitars laying around,
It's
and I don't
awesome.
push anything. But like, I told her about you, and I was like playing your videos and stuff. Like, this person's gonna be on the show next week, and she's like, "Oh, cool." I'm like, "See, like, chicks rock. Like, you know, this isn't a dude thing. This isn't a boy thing. This can be an any person thing." So
Yeah,
that
man, like
bothers me
even
so
when
much.
I went to Berkeley, like I went to the registration with my mother, and they're like, "What's your instrument? Are you a voice student?" And I'm like, "No, I play guitar." And I
Oh
know
my
that
god.
stigma it's completely changed now, and like She Shreds has come out with like over 50% of the market is women playing, you know, or female identified artists. So which is great, but it's been like a decade plus since I started that's changed, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I mean, I love, so like your music, Madison Cunningham's music, like these, like you two in general are like probably my favorite guitar players right now, like and songwriters. Like that's the thing, is like just being able to play the instrument, play the crap out of the instrument, and then sing like a bird. And it's just like that stuff is so cool. And I love the fact that you're kind of, I feel like you're pushing the instrument in a different direction too. Like what your style to me is so interesting, because it's not like anything I had heard, you know, recently from anybody. Like, I don't know of anybody else that's doing what you're doing. So did that stuff like, and let's talk a little bit about like tunings. Like we were before this, we were talking about, you know, dropping guitars down to C sharp standard or whatever. Like I'm playing in C standard and open C. So
Right.
how did you like get, where did that come from? Was it like for your voice? Was it just like you loved that sound, or what was it?
Yeah. So again, thank you for the kind words. I think that I'm always, there's a couple layers here. So I had a professor in college. I went to LACC. It's a LA Community College or City College for a little bit, and it was actually really a pivotal part in my music education. And before I went to New England Conservatory, and my teacher there, he said some composers listen to everybody, and they just mash it up, and some people don't listen to anyone, and it's just, I mean, you're listening to things, but you're not intentionally referencing anything. And I think I'm the latter. I think I always was alone, and kind of the sounds were happening around the house and on the radio, and then in school. And so I was just trying to make things that I started to accumulate in my own personal repertoire. But as far as tunings, it's again about exploration. Sometimes I get so trapped in like what I should do that I don't know where to go anymore. So early on, I was playing in a lot of open tunings just to get out of that and just to feel free. And like those open tunings really just are massive sounding, and they bring you the feel of the instrument and your body into another place. You feel you're just freer to be ignorant, and which can be a nice thing for music. And so after that, however, I have a terrible memory, terrible, and playing all these different tunings and not really thinking about like what the notes are. I was just thinking about shapes. It became actually really laborious to try to recall all these tunings. So I just started tuning. All my guitars are in standard tuning, but they're just in like B, like a baritone, C, C sharp, D, E flat, and E. And honestly, like that's all I'm doing is I'm playing a lot of the same stuff, but it fits my voice better for the particular song, so I can emote in the way I want to.
Right. Which guitar do you have in B? B standard. Like is
1 second.
I'm just
uh,
curious.
this is my Creston baritone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a 26 and a half or 26 and a quarter, forget. So it's sort of like a short scale baritone.
Okay, cool.
Mahogany body. Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole for a long time I had this like old Mexican Strat that I had just in D standard, and I was like always thinking, can you go lower? Can I go lower? I would like to go lower. And then then when I started seeing like what Ariel Posen was doing with B, and I was like, well, I'm already playing in C standard. Like if I just or C open C, if I just put this in C standard, everything will be the same as far as like where I am on the neck, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I was like, I never thought like, because what strings are you using for those?
Gauge.
Yeah, like gauge, and like, are you using specific?
Everything's mixed. Like the low B is a half round, D'Addario half round, because the strings the pickups are pretty microphonic, or at least the neck one is. So it's like a half round 13. It's really not that big, but then the subsequent strings are larger, and they've been on there for so long I can't recall what they are anymore.
Nice.
But you know, now I have on this other Creston that I got recently, I keep it in D, and the high E is a 13, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's it just depends on the feel of the thing, and I tinker around with it until I can't handle the tinkering anymore, and I just leave it.
Yeah. Have you tried the Stringjoy strings at all? Like ordering stuff from them to get like all these different?
I haven't, because when I looked online, I just saw two different packs, and like I wanted like maybe a heavier low string or something more specific. I'm becoming that nerd that's like, I need a 20 plane on my.
You can get custom. They do custom sets, so you can get, because I get because I have a resonator that I do like 17, 19, 22, 32, 44, and 60. So they'll do whatever you want them to do, really.
Nice.
But they're great. They feel so good. The first time I used them was a couple years ago, and I've been a D'Addario guy my whole life.
Yeah.
And when I put those on, I was like, just like playing it unplugged, it was like, what? Like the guitar just like spoke, and I was like, what the hell? Like these are just strings, man. But I love them now. I don't use anything else now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out. Yeah, I think I was using Ernie Balls as a kid, like Slinkies, and then I, with some of my guitars with the microphonic pickups, I was using the half round, so you don't get a lot of like finger noise. And then Gabriel Tenorio, he has like a whole line of like handmade strings. So he used this as a long twist for people who are using Jazzmaster Jaguar style vibratos, so they don't break quite as much. So
okay.
Yeah, and they last forever. So I've got this, all these strings floating around. I can show you. It's just actually
a box of.
It's extremely embarrassing.
Nice.
Like they don't match. I'm just like, this is what I need. It at a certain point it just becomes utilitarian.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, you should check those strings out. I think you would really like them. Let's go down that rabbit hole of gear and stuff because I feel like you appreciate the tools that are available.
I do.
And so has the Jaguar and like Jazzmaster, like the offset body thing, like been kind of your jam as far as like what you've gotten into?
Yeah, yes. So it's more the sound of the pickups. I think they tend to be, especially for the Jazzmaster, like just generally more high fidelity, a wider range of colors. They're really, really bright, but you know, you also get a full spectrum so then you can tame it if you need to. Mm-hmm. My issue with that, and it's totally my thing, like the body is bigger and it's heavier. It can be heavier depending on what the wood is and the density, and it also, I feel like, kind of dwarfs me. And so it becomes a lot about the image that I want to portray on stage. So I
Right.
had a built for a while, and I was, I loved big guitars. I do love big guitars, but something about the way it looked like it was like they're amazing guitars, but on me I felt dwarfed by it, So
Right.
I ended up going smaller, 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 and Creston and I ended up on on like a really small offset shape that doesn't kill my I have a bad shoulder, and also um, feels more comfortable on a smaller body, So
Mm-hmm.
tellies are great for that. They're like that way, just generally small, but the way it sits, the way the guitar that we designed together sits, I don't know if
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Here, I'm gonna zoom. I can change these camera angles a little bit. There we go. Oh, that's so cool.
so it's contoured in a way, and it's like similar to a supersonic or a SG. You get the heel strap, so it sits more upright when you're playing, and for me that is much more comfortable because I come from a classical background, and when I'm playing I don't want to have to,
Right.
so
That's
so that
cool.
yeah, so it at a certain point I don't really care.
Yeah.
I just want it to sound good and play. Like, I love help designing guitars, or helping to like make something, like bring something to fruition. That's just a nerdy design thing, but at a certain point it's just like, does it sound good? Does it do what I want? Is
Right.
it pretty, I guess,
Yeah. Let's get vain with it though. We were talking
Yeah.
before this started, guys. We were talking about guitar colors.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And how we all actually do kind of care about it a little bit, at least. Like we may hide it, but there so there was this band that I grew up watching. This guy had this pink sparkle Strat, and I was always like, that is the dopest thing I have ever seen in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd stopped listening to those guys for a while. Like I just got out of the jam band scene for a long time. And I started following him on Instagram, and he's like playing that guitar again. And I was like, yay! Like that guitar is so cool. Is there anything like that's super outlandish that you've been like, oh, I want to play that?
Well, I don't know if you had seen, I had like a chartreuse large flake guitar from Harvester. Chartreuse sparkle for some reason like really does it for me.
Nice.
And I think chartreuse is technically like the least liked color of all time.
Really?
But
Okay.
I don't. There's just something like green is my favorite color when I was younger, and now yellow is becoming my favorite color, and so those two together just make sense to me. And
Right.
that like on the opposite end of the spectrum is pink, so I'm like kind of in that world.
Right.
Where I just like when I was a kid growing up, I thought pink was the worst. I hated anyone who liked pink. I judged them for it. And now I have two pink guitars, so I think, to be quite frank, I think really finally feeling comfortable in my own femininity made me okay with liking pink.
Right. Yeah.
And yellow. I mean, yellow is a color that as a child uh, reminded me of my mom, and like, you have all these. We all have associations, but now it's just like it's the best thing in the world. I love it.
Yeah.
It's very joyful, a joyful color. So,
Oh, totally.
but, like we were talking about earlier before the show started, certain colors just to me scream like a genre, like the Brian Setzer, like large body, like sparkle. I think it's awesome. I love it. That is a truly chartreuse sparkle guitar. I could never play that guitar. I don't have the chutzpah.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. I feel like there's some guitars I feel like I can never see myself playing on stage because I'd be like, that's not you, dude. What are you doing? Like, I would love to own a Flying V because they sound great and they're fantastic. But if I was on stage, my friends would be like, dude, what are you trying to do? What are you doing? Like, that's not you, you know?
Exactly. It's like, I'm not going to shred, so why do I need that,
Yeah. Although I could say, oh my God, I bet you playing slide on a Flying V is so freeing. I mean, there's just so much access. I've never really. I mean, I've had SGs in the past. That's what I started learning on when I went down the Derek Trucks tunnel.
Oh yeah.
But I bet you playing slide on a V is pretty killer.
I have
It probably sounds.
Ariel Posen's slide right here. I don't know if you can see
Yay.
it. I still suck
Cheers.
at it. Cheers. I truly suck at this. I don't know. And also, this might be the only slide I feel like fits a woman's hands. Most of them are gigantic.
Yeah. You have to just like try them out, and you have to find the thing that really works for you. I feel like for me, it took me years to find a slide that worked. I've got like 7 in front of me on my top of my KRK. And sometimes I play slide with glass, sometimes I use brass depending on what it is, but most of the time I'm using Ariel's slide. I mean, that's like the most comfortable slide I've ever used.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
And Joey has one too that's pretty cool, and it has that notch built into it. So when you wear, I mean, I use it on my pinky, but you can put your finger in that little notch.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, comfy. So his is cool too. But whenever my hands sweat, I don't know about you, but like when I play, my hands sweat a lot. It's kind of grody, but like the slide will fly off. Usually Joey's slide will come off quicker than Ariel's. I don't know why. So.
Yeah, I don't sweat at all. I just pant like a dog. Just kidding. Yeah, that's why like I keep my strings on forever, because my hands just don't do that thing.
That's awesome. That's great. Saves a lot of money. Saves a ton of money.
Sure does.
Ton of money. I want to go into, so we talked about guitar. I know you're a big fan of these battery powered amps, these lunchbox size amps. I want to hear more about this stuff, because anytime you're posting, they sound amazing. So like, are you using those live too? Like, what are you using on stage?
I've used all of them. I haven't had the opportunity to use, let me grab this here. So this little ZT lunchbox, the lunchbox Reverb, sounds awesome. It has, I don't know how they do what they do, but it's a 6.5 radius, speaker. It's insanely small. It's insanely loud and full bodied at the same time. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but this one has reverb, also has like an out and a speaker out. But since COVID hit, that's when I got it. It's a great jazz amp, but you can like kind of put anything through it. I also have, this is really also what I wanted in my young life in preschool, show and tell. I never had anything to show, but here we are.
Let's do it. I love show and tell.
So Templo is a guy, Scott, out of Canada, and this is a truly battery powered amp. You can plug it in, but it's like an 8-inch speaker. You can charge all of your pedals on it as well, like power them.
What?
So I did a play, and I was in such a situation where it really wouldn't be safe or economical to like constantly having to tape it down and plug in the power supply. So I had this and my tiny board, and with like 3 pedals on it, and it lasted the run of the play. It was about a week. It sounds great. I can bring it anywhere. It's got to be less. It's got to be less than 10 pounds, maybe 7 pounds.
Oh my god.
It's ridiculous. And then Templo, the guy who made that, he has a new one coming out called the Nomad that is, I think, 50 watts. It's freaking loud. Yeah, I have it.
And it's battery powered?
It's battery powered. It has a 10-inch speaker. Also, you can like plug in your pedals into it. It's wild. It's very wild. So, I think, again, like, I don't necessarily want to play acoustic guitar, but I do want to be able to play my guitar anywhere I go. And especially like the Templo has just been very freeing, because I can go play in my backyard.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How does it power the pedals? Is there like a lithium ion battery in there or something? Yeah. Oh man. Brilliant.
Yeah, it works super well. Like I had like 2 Strymons and my Benson Pre on it, and it powered them all, and I didn't have any issues. So yeah, it's just really great. Like I have a lot of friends who surf, So like we go when they go surfing, I can bring that, and I don't surf because I don't want to die. But
Oh,
yeah, but I can go
yeah.
hang out on the beach, with them.
Yeah, that's so
So
rad.
yeah,
So, and then is there anything else? I know you have that other small Benson head, right? And cabinet. I've seen
yeah, yeah.
pictures of that.
So my, I don't know. So that's my Dizzy Bird.
Oh yeah.
So that's a 10-inch cab, and it's a 1 watt amplifier, and I have it routed in such a way with the quilter.
Mm-hmm.
The quilter essentially like controls it controls the tone, and the Benson acts as a pre. But I am using the reverb, the tube reverb from the Benson, so it's just I can control. There's like 2 different gain stages on that, or 3. So for apartment living, if I want a really sick sounding tube rig, that is just everything. That's my main rig. I love that. It's the
Okay.
very best. Yeah.
Are you usually like for like any dirt or anything? Are you using any pedals, or are you just using amp overdrive, like as far as
Amp.
pushing the amp low? Okay.
Yeah,
Because
go
you don't
ahead.
do any like high watt or like high gain stuff, I know, but like is there any time where you're like using a boost pedal or um like a clone of some sort to push the amp a little harder?
Yeah, primarily in recording. So in my so I'm releasing a bunch of new songs, and one of the ones I recorded recently, there's like a guitar solo esque part, and I use this thing, this enormous thing called the stank.
Oh yeah, I remember you putting that up on
Yeah,
on Instagram.
yeah. So it's like a dual. There's like 2 different harmonic. Like you can do 2 distortions basically, and you can do different octaves, um, or fuzz, and then there's like all these like sculpting knobs over
Oh
here.
wow.
Um, yeah, it can sound pretty gross in a really good way. um, that's what I use for that, and then I have my Octahive from Beatronics that I love. I just love also the overdrive on that, and
Mm-hmm.
then my Benson preamp I use especially whenever I'm using a solid state amp and I need like a little of that tube sound.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or I click it on if I'm like going to be doing something a little bit more aggressive live. But
Okay.
that's it. I'm not I love and appreciate it. It's just not my sound.
Right.
I love weird sounds, and if I was going to do a noise piece for my master's thesis in composition, that's what I would use different, you know.
Yeah, totally. Do you still have the automaton? Like, are you still
I
kicking
don't.
around with that?
That was I didn't get rid of it. It wasn't mine to get rid of. But um, Mike Baranek, the luthier, was traveling through town. He's in Palo Alto, and he I think was tracking some stuff with his guitars because Knobs plays one of his guitars. Knobs demos on YouTube, and I happened to get a hold of it because we were filming some stuff with another Mike Adams, Pishin, and we all just got together. And then I had that at the house for a couple days, and my mind was blown. I do think that might be the only gain that one would need, unless you require something like an Octavia.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's pretty wild. Yeah. I don't
What
know that
was
you.
like your
Go ahead.
what was your first like impression when you like plugged it in and found a sound that you wanted? Was it inspiring to was like
Yeah,
pushing you to play differently?
it felt both familiar and um, activated that thing in my brain. That's also like when I'm writing a song and I'm bored, and then I try to tinker around with it to make it more interesting. It does that for me in a much more intuitive way than like some of the other Chase Bliss pedals do, because like the little notches on the back, which are brilliant. But I'm the kind of person that needs to see the like on a string, like a big box Strymon pedal. I just need to see what my preset is.
Right, yeah, I
I'm
hear you.
not like, or I just don't know. And like especially in like the ambient sound of a club, like I don't know really what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that pedal kind of does that for you because you can see the settings by the EQ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you?
sick. It's very sick.
I know. I mean, that's another thing is like I don't have the money to get that. I can't justify buying that right now. But it's pretty
I hear
rad.
that. It's
It's
a, it's
really
a,
rad.
that's a post-COVID purchase for me.
Yeah, that's a sell a few things purchase for me. But you lean pretty hard on delay, right? Like you like delay. You like using that.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you?
It's like a percussive instrument. Like it just adds like girth and I like modulated delay a lot.
Okay. What are you? What's the current delay pedal on your board like right now?
The Strymon Volante.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
Can
I
can
can.
you explain to a person who's like doesn't understand how to use delay? Like I I've I've bought so many delay pedals in my life so far, thinking that oh, this is gonna be the one that I will jive with, and I'll be like, this is great. Like I'm gonna use this and it's gonna work. And eventually I just use it for slapback. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I don't get it. I don't like I need to understand it more. So like can you explain to me?
I think I use it a lot as like a percussive addition to what I'm doing. So, but I hear what you're saying. If you're someone who is like slightly more verbose on your instrument or you're doing a lot of soloing, slapback might make more sense. Like you have to allow for this space for it to do what it's going to do. Um, Turning down the feedback or the initial attack so that it's not hitting immediately when you play. It's a delicate process. I don't know
Mhm.
how they like gauge the designers gauge like what's usable and what isn't, because not everything is tweakable on the pedal. So those like digital delays like the DD3 is great, but you're gonna get like the exact repeat every single time, and that's like the U2. It sounds to me like U2, the
Mhm.
band, you know.
Yeah,
Um, Analog delays can be really muddy, so finding something that can kind of disappear when you want it to disappear in the right amount of time is really important. If you tend to be more verbose soloist, then I think you just have to allow for the space for it to do its thing. I like the pitch shifting of like a modulated delay, so I like to just kind of let it fill the space.
yeah.
Uh, if you're accompanying like a singer, I think it might be great for that for synthesizers just to fill time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry if
It's
it's
such
not exactly what you're looking for, but
no, that's all good. I feel like I'm just need to get real with myself and be like, dude, you're never gonna use a delay pedal. Just take it off. Take it off your board. Because I mean I love reverb, but delay is something that I want to really love. And I bought the Walrus Audio D1, that new Mako series one.
yeah, I was thinking about that.
It's great. I love it, but I'm just using it for slapback again, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
because the Flint does so much for me. That's
sure.
like probably my favorite pedal of all time. Like
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's like an
it's
amp in
it's
a box.
it's just so good. I mean, it's just like the tremolo circuits and like the reverb, everything in that one box for the price. I mean, people ask me all the time about it as far as like, do I use a reverb? I have a 2 Rock that was like my 40-year-old purchase that I was like midlife crisis. But and I don't know where it is. It's somewhere over there. It is. But I was like, if I'm gonna like use reverb and I don't have it, I'm gonna take the Flame because it
Yeah,
sounds so good. I mean, Strymon can do no wrong, basically, in my eyes.
I agree. I they were yeah. I mean, it was a dream gig when I got asked to do the opening music and sequence for their Iridium pedal. I'm like,
Mm,
huh? Because I used to save all my pennies just to get a blue sky.
hmm
you
I hear
know,
you.
yeah, I absolutely love their stuff. It's super high fidelity, and for me, it just works with how my brain works. Like, again, like I see the name of the thing, the
Yep.
preset. Um, Yeah, but you know a band like, do you know Deep Sea Diver? They just released like a bunch of new music.
No,
Um,
but I'll check it out.
it's I think they're a Washington based band and a Seattle band. And the stuff that they do with delay, I highly recommend like listening to. It's like it kind of sits on the spectrum of a Radiohead, but like effect wise, but it's definitely sits in that like Pacific Northwest rock sound as well.
Nice. Pearl Jam
Okay.
is my heart.
Yeah.
So, um, did you for this new record? Let's talk about that. Or did
Mhm.
you do a lot of like? Did you use the Iridium or anything like that? Like for any of your guitar
Yeah.
sounds on this record? Oh, okay. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So so the first single that's coming out at the end of the month on the 25th, I recorded in studio with my Benson. And everything else after that has been in the with the Iridium. Like I'm recording in apartments because of COVID, so just really trying to. I mean, they're pop. They're basically pop songs, but guitar-y, guitar
Mm-hmm.
songs. So it calls for less traditional like guitar tone, so you can kind of hide behind um, a sound that isn't like precisely like an amplifier. Um, the Iridium, I think, does a great job at that thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm super happy with the sounds that we're getting. I like to use the Iridium in combination with the Benson. Those two are like always on for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um,
Are you like using more of the Fender or the Vox or like what are you using most of the time? Or are you switching it around?
I do switch it around. Yeah, I actually really like the cranked Fender twin sound. Uh, Not cranked, I don't love it. I tend to go more the Marshall because I like a little hair on my sound, not too much, but
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's that edge
yeah,
of breakup kind of, yeah.
precisely. Yeah. So when I use it in combination with the Benson, it's always the Fender setting because it tends to be the most clean, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, higher headroom
Okay.
or the illusion of.
Right. There's so many people that are talking about that pedal and have been talking about that pedal for the past couple of years in
Yeah.
terms of I bought a oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on what's the how am I
Camper.
forgetting? Yes. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I bought a Kemper 2 years ago and because I was starting to do stuff for some film and TV projects and I didn't have any high gain stuff. So I was like, okay, I can rationalize using that and getting that. And I had it for a while and I was like, this isn't working. It's just not, I mean, I can probably get some pedals to get the dirt that I want to get out of it. And then one of my friends was like, you know what you should get now, since you don't have that, is you should get an Iridium. Because he's the MD at his church and that's what he
Oh,
has
okay.
on all the guitarists have an Iridium now.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier for them to kind of mix, do the mix and all that. And they're playing to a click and all that stuff.
And it's
So
easy to use. I think the problem with this, while we're on the topic, like some things just are, you don't get any kind of immediate gratification out of it. Where
mhm,
you can plug in an Iridium and kind of get what you need like pretty immediately.
that's awesome. So are you tracking how many songs are on the record?
So my plan, whether it goes to plan or not, is I've got 4 or 5 songs for that I'm still not decided if I'm going to do singles or do a couple singles and an EP. So it's like 4 or 5 as a set, another 4 or 5 as a set, and then another 4 or 5. Um, the way that streaming is happening right now, it just doesn't make sense to, unless it's sort of like the privilege of a megastar to be able to release an album by itself.
I agree.
Spotify has actually come out, the CEO has come out and said you can't afford to like wait a couple years between releases. You should be releasing music every month. And while I think that may cheapen the experience and the quality of the music, that's the function of the marketplace. So I'm
Mhm.
trying, I'm a couple months in between each song, and then I will aggregate it all into a vinyl at the end as an album, and that gives
That's
me
awesome.
time and time to like work behind the scenes because I also have a full-time job beyond doing like music related things, and allows me to save so that I can like pay the graphic artist and pay the
Hmm.
the mixer and mastering and all that stuff. So it's in a way it's a fine setup for an independent musician.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
So are you gonna basically release these? So you're talking about releasing singles, or you're gonna put an EP, one of those two, kind of thing.
one of those two, yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm watching, because as an artist, you kind of have to survey the landscape, and I'm seeing people do anywhere between 2 months and a month between singles,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is
I
a
mean,
lot of work.
I think it's smart. I mean, I don't think there's many. Like, if you're talking about John Mayer's going to release a new record, of course he's going to put a whole record out. But for
Right.
independent artists these days, I think that's helpful too. The hustle is real. I mean, we're paying for all the studio time. We're paying for people to mix and master their record. Oh, you know what else I wanted to ask you about
Mhm.
that? So did you, because I've seen clips of you playing live where you're playing to like a drum track.
Oh, yeah.
Do you sequence all that stuff yourself?
Yeah.
What do you use to do that?
Logic.
Really? You're just
Yeah.
playing with Logic? I was like, I wonder if you're using Ableton or not. Yeah, that's cool.
No, I haven't gotten to the Ableton game. It seems that I should, but uh, that's another $1,000 I don't have. So.
Yep. Well, I was curious because the reason I thought you might be using Ableton or a DAW, it's so precise, like, but it feels so natural. Like anytime I've
Yeah, I
seen
move
you
things
playing,
around, like I'll put it on a grid at first and then try to have it feel less like a drum machine is there. I mean, sometimes it's what I want, but
mm-hmm.
uh, I as a composer who's done like a lot of MIDI tracks, you have to make it feel alive. So it's the same thing with that drum track or like the synth in the background, and I've done some
Okay,
of that for other artists that I've played with. Yeah, I just
that's
use
cool.
I don't even use my computer. I just bounce everything down to a single track and play it through my TC Helicon Voice Live.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So did
yeah,
you, when you're sequencing this stuff, because it does, like you said, depending on how you want to use it, I guess what the song calls for whatever is going to be happening percussion
yeah.
wise. But like, did you, is this record all, is there any live drums or is it all programmed drums?
Uh, no, these are all programmed.
Cool.
Definitely programmed. Yeah, and I think the inspiration for that is very much, you know, this is what I have available to me.
Hmm.
And sometimes there's a magic in that. I get a lot of people saying, especially live, like you need to have a drummer. I'm like, I understand that there's that feeling of the air moving in the audience and like between the bass player and the drummer. That vibe is very palpable. And so if I get the opportunity to play again, I'll have probably a hybrid set with a drummer and like some sequence stuff. But it's very much inspired by me playing with a drum machine and trying to come up with songs. And at the onset, that's yeah, there can be a magic in sort of like the beginnings of how songs are made.
Oh, I agree. There's an album that most people don't know about that Bruce Hornsby released called Big Swing Face,
Hmm.
and the bulk of that record is a hybrid. Is like either it's 100% programmed drums, and this came out in like 2002 ish.
What's
But
it called? I'm gonna write it down.
it's called Big Swing Face.
Okay.
But man, there's some killer grooves on that record and some really funky stuff. Like it's man, that whole album from front to start, I love. That's one of my favorite Bruce Hornsby records. I love him, but that's one of my favorite because it's greasy. There's some stuff on there that's super greasy.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, it's good. But like if you check it out, you'll probably really appreciate it because of what you do with it. It's rad. I would definitely check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for a lot of new music, not just for my own ears, but I'm starting a playlist with Shelby Pollard. He's starting Black Bobbin, and we're doing a playlist of basically he picks 4 songs and I pick 4 songs that have recently been released, and then we pick a surprise song for the other person to see
Oh,
what
that's
they
fun.
think. Yeah, so I anything you got from me, send it my way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It's weird because there's, as far as new music coming out, obviously I'm super pumped that you're putting stuff out, and there's some other artists that are starting to release some stuff, but it feels like a weird time right now, like because I'm waiting, because like how's everything with you there? I mean, because I know Cali, like there's some
Man,
COVID issues, so
we can get real. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Like I'm a very independent, reclusive person. Like I mean, the whole reason why I started playing guitar is because I could be alone. Playing
right.
guitar. Uh, so, but it's weird. Like it hit me a couple weeks ago where I'm like, I really miss socializing with people, and that's saying a lot for me. I have roommates, and I still chat with my friends, and I have my job, and I'm on Zoom like all day, but
hmm
the sort of frivolity of, and also like people watching and kind of seeing how you are, um like where you stand in the mix, and just that it's you don't get that anymore. It's pretty isolating in Los Angeles. And then there's a lot of social justice issues that keep coming up that I feel somewhat divorced from, because my world is like generally pretty white outside of the music that I listen to. So that's it's been like I've been focusing on social media to help me stay aware of what's happening.
hmm
Um, and now there's fires constantly.
I
So
know. Are you okay where you are? Is everything all right where you are?
it's very, very smoky. It's very
Mm.
smoky. My friends went surfing this morning, and there's the cameras on the surf, so I like to watch them surf. And you couldn't see anything. It was completely smoked out. And in San Francisco, I don't know if you saw recently, like it's just like doomsday orange skies. So
Red. I
yeah,
know. And Oregon too, right? There's a lot going on
I
up
haven't
north.
heard.
I think there's stuff going on up there. Like there was some pictures that looked like a shot out of like Damien. It was like the sky was red. I was like, oh my God, like that's
It's a
super
lot.
scary.
There's a lot of layers happening. Never mind like probably stuff that people have going on in their personal lives. I feel for everybody right now, and that's why I really appreciate you doing this kind of thing with me, and with everybody else. It's nice to connect.
Yeah, and then I want all my friends to know about you because I'm like, you gotta check this music out, man. Because there's so many newer artists, and not even like newer. I mean, you've been on the scene for a while, but like I love and hate social media.
Yeah,
I
I know.
love it because it exposes me to people like you who I didn't know about, and I can listen to, and I can, hold up as like just like a representation of women in music for my daughter, and like it's just stuff like that that I appreciate social media for. And then there's the other flip side of like Facebook and like political like anger and whatnot, but like for the most part, on the whole, it's pretty awesome. Like it's
Yeah,
like connecting with people like you and doing this. And the whole reason I wanted to do this, honestly, because I'm not gigging. I want to do
right,
something creative, and I want to talk to people
right.
who I admire, who I like enjoy their music or enjoy their products. And do you know what I mean? Like that's why I wanted to do this 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I think kind of something that I really enjoyed is watching everyone start up their YouTube channels. It's like,
Yep.
well, we've got some extra time on our hands again. We're not gigging. Like I've definitely thought about it. Just we have so much to say when we're not commuting back and forth from wherever we're going.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I know. What's your day gig, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer that question if it's.
No. It's all good. It's so I went to classical music school when I got my master's, and so I ended up getting a gig as a researcher for an opera company in Boston.
Mm.
And so now, and then I went to LA Opera and I did research for them, and now I do research for Center Theater Group in
Oh,
Los
that's
Angeles.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you kind of still have music's always a part of your life every day, I
Yeah,
guess.
I'm involved in the arts in like while my job is like somewhat technical, I'm surrounded by a lot of artistic, even if it's over Zoom, like a lot of artistic people who are thinking outside of the box, and so I don't begrudge it, you know.
Right. That's awesome. I mean, I think it's nice to wake up every day and realize that the food that's on your table is kind of music has brought that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful every day for having that as part of my life.
Yeah, you have to be. It's like it. You have to find gratitude is someplace in your life.
Especially now.
Yeah.
But and then the last thing I'll say is, so I told you superheroes and
Yeah.
video games have been a part of this. So are you Marvel or are you DC?
As a kid, I was definitely split, but I think I'm more Marvel now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did
I
you
had a
enjoy
lot
the
of.
whole arc? Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. What are you saying?
As a kid, I loved I like big shiny things, right? You can tell by my guitars, but like I would get the big sort of like novellas of Superman comics. So like the life and death of Superman. So I was really into those, but now I think the first X-Men movie really hooked me way back in the day.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's on Disney Plus right now. I saw it the other night. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna watch that with my kid.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the whole arc of the Marvel movies from like Iron Man to Infinity War kind of thing?
It's a lot, man. I'm gonna be honest. It's
I
like
know.
it's a lot like the paradox of choice, where you're
Yep.
like, where are we now? When you start to allow for alternate universes, it's kind of like when you take your first literature class as a kid and you're trying to learn how to write, and at the end of the story you say, oh, but it was just a dream, it never happened. I'm like,
That's how I felt about the end of Lost. I was like, really, dude? Like, this was a good show.
Yeah, that really upset me. I was like, I was hoping for like a lesson, give me something, but like,
I know.
you're
I
dead.
know. Yeah. And you remember how everybody was, oh, spoiler alert, folks. But you remember how
Yes.
everybody was like guessing that's what was happened? Like, no, that's not. I'm like, and then you guys didn't even bother to change it. Like, you had seasons of time where you could have changed like the story and so they weren't dead or whatever. But like, yeah, I remember when my wife and I watched that night and we were like, what just happened?
I don't think that these showrunners think about how like the binge process is so arduous.
Yeah. Oh man.
You know, like I think I was sick with the flu and I decided I was going to watch all of Lost, which is a major undertaking, and I didn't need that in my life. Like at the end of the day, like really?
No.
Yeah.
Although
Go ahead.
you do need the 22 movie Marvel in your life though. That we did that last winter. My wife sat through the whole thing with me and she enjoyed them, but it's like if you have to get nerdy and look up the list of what order you're supposed to watch them in.
Yeah.
And now they have TV shows that you're supposed to like insert the Agents of Shield here, this episode, and I'm like, no, just the movies, please.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm here for that at a certain point, but maybe less so now. I don't know. It's just too much. It's way too much information.
I know. It's the stories are pretty darn good though, man. I would say Marvel has got something going on right now, and I'm excited about this whole like space exploration thing.
Yeah.
Because I have that Marvel Unlimited app, so like there's like a crap ton of
Really?
comics that you can read. Yeah, oh, it's dope. It's like $60 for the year, and it's like if you want to read Daredevil, click up Daredevil, and it's like all the stories, Guardians of the Galaxy. There's so much stuff that I didn't realize was in space, like in the Marvel universe, and I'm like, oh, that's where they're going now. So these characters are going to show up. It's really cool.
Have you seen the new Raised by Wolves on HBO?
No, what is that?
HBO Max. It's a new show called Raised by Wolves. It's a Ridley Scott show. It's freaking good. If you like
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My wife tried to get me to watch like go because her and her dad like grew up together watching like when she was a kid watching Star Trek, The Next Generation, like the Picard kind of era. And so she's like, "Will you watch that with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then like we watched the first episode the other night, and no lie, at one point I woke up, and the first episode was like an hour and a half, and I looked, and there she is passed out too. I'm like, "Babe, we fell asleep." I don't know how long we've been asleep. I don't know how long this episode is, but it was like so dated. I got so tired.
So it is so dated. I've tried with other people too to make them watch it. I've one other person I successfully got them to see the entire. I think it's 8 seasons, and it can be super corny, but that's the show that I leave on while I'm doing work. I watch Next Gen. Just my friend Mike and I will just text like, "Remember this scene?"
It's pretty good. I mean, the story was good, but I was just like, wow, I can't get over like the costumes and all that.
The new
All right,
one,
you ready? Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry, I'm a dork about it. The new
No, go.
Watch Discovery if you can. It's more updated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's that new show, Picard, right? Isn't that like on ABC? It's like
CBS.
older Picard. Okay, CBS. Yeah. So I heard that's really good, and I don't want to go there yet. So I feel like I need to go back and go forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I recommend Discovery if you're going to take the Star Trek dive as a newbie.
Okay. All right. Enough said. You ready for the end of the show here? We're gonna do the lightning round get down here. So let me get my metronome kicking here. I know. You know what's funny is I was like, man, I wish I had a little clock with like a little graphic on the screen, and my wife was like, hey, dummy, just use your metronome. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. All right, here we go. You know the first question: Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon.
Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Mario or Sonic?
Sonic.
Oh, I knew it. East Coast or West Coast?
West.
Tube or solid state?
Tube.
Cereal or oatmeal?
Oatmeal.
Reverb or delay?
Reverb.
All right. Rhodes or Wurlitzer?
Rhodes.
Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones?
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
Okay. All right. All right. Here's the last one. All right. Now you are a Marvel character in this scene. Okay. We're talking Civil War. Stark or Rogers?
Rogers.
All right. Cool. You made it through. Lovely. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out. I super appreciate your time and
Thank you so much.
Your wisdom and everything. So, ladies and gentlemen, you got to check out VAVA. Look up everything you can do. All the socials. Name all the socials that you're on right now.
Instagram is my primary one. There's also Facebook. I have some stuff on YouTube that I, like videos that I upload. I have some stuff from Fender that's around. I have a new Fender video coming out tomorrow, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, but primarily Instagram, VAVA and Vivo, VAVAENVIVO.
Cool. And there's a Bandcamp page, right, where we can buy music and everything.
Yep, there's a Bandcamp. Same thing, VAVA and Vivo. Yeah, check me out. I've got some new stuff coming out, so I'd love for you to listen to it. I'm pretty proud of it.
Sweet. Well, we will be listening, very much so. And then is the new record going to be on there too on Bandcamp?
Yeah.
Will it pop up there? Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much again, and peace out from At Home with Mark, episode 5 in the books. See you next time.
Ciao.